Hi everyone, welcome to my new video. So making bread for some people can be a little bit overwhelming, especially for beginners. I've been there too. So I really wanted to find a recipe that was super easy with very few steps and that didn't require any additional pans or special tools. So after experimenting a bit, I found the easiest way to make bread. And honestly, after having this recipe, I've been making bread way more often. Because making the dough, it takes literally less than 2 minutes because it's a no-knead bread. And so it's super satisfying. Well, let's get started. I start by mixing the dry ingredients. For the flour, you could simply use bread flour, but my favorite combination is some Manitoba flour and a cup of durum wheat flour, which has a bigger grain size and it has this characteristic yellow color given by the presence of carotenoids. I like to use it because it helps making a crunchy crust. On the other hand, Manitoba flour has a thinner grain and it is defined as a strong flour due to its high percentage of protein, which allows it to absorb liquids easily, making the dough more resistant and elastic. Okay, now I add half a teaspoon of dry yeast and 1 teaspoon of sugar. That it gives an additional boost to the yeast and it helps providing a golden color to the crust. Mix everything together well with a spoon and then add the water. It's important that the water is nice and warm to help the dough rise. Don't put excessively hot water though, otherwise you risk to kill the yeast. Before everything is well incorporated, throw in some salt. It is best to add it at the end because if the yeast gets in direct contact with the salt, it might get damaged. Just a few stirs and the dough is completely ready. Even if it doesn't look smooth yet, don't worry. Now cover it with some plastic wrap and a cloth and let it rest for 3 hours until it doubles up in volume, ideally in a warm environment. I avoid leaving it on the cold marble counter and I put it inside of the oven with the oven off and the light on. At the end of the 3 hours, you'll notice that the dough has grown. I sprinkle a good amount of flour on the counter and with my finger full of flour, I take out the dough from the bowl. Now is the time to make the folds of the bread. Super easy. Make sure your hands are covered in flour because the dough is quite sticky. Sprinkle some flour on the top and pat the dough down a bit. Pick up one side of the dough and fold it a third of the way and then again. Now do the same thing in the opposite direction, just like this. I repeat the folding again from the beginning. I'm not an expert on this, but from what I learned, the folding of the dough is a quick and effective way to give a better alveolation and to strengthen the dough by stretching the gluten strands. This will help the dough grow towards the top rather than expanding in width during the baking. I put the dough back in the bowl with a lot of flour underneath and I cover it up. Now I suggest you let it rest for 30 minutes and then repeat the folding process one more time. At this point, you'll be able to notice that the dough is stronger and more resistant. You could skip this third folding process and just let the dough rest for an hour and then put it in the oven, but if you have that extra time, it's best to do it. Okay, now that the dough is nice and strong, cover it again for the last 30 minutes. Meanwhile, you can start to preheat the oven at 450 Fahrenheit with a pan containing 1 cup of hot tap water. The water will generate steam in the oven, which will help the bread rise and it improves the consistency of the bread. At the end of the 30 minutes, I oil a pan with olive oil and I place the bread in it. Using my fingers, I spread a few drops of olive oil on the surface, which will help make a nice crust. And if the oven is ready, cook the bread for around 25 minutes, plus 2 minutes on broil. Watch out because you might need to adjust the cooking time based on your oven. And here it is, the bread is ready. You could also cook it in a Dutch oven, which is simply a pot with a lid. And it's great because it traps the heat and creates moisture, but if you don't have it, just like I don't, then this way I showed you works great too. I really wish you could smell this bread. It's amazing. And listen to the sound of the crust. Well, let's see inside. Oh, wow. It's super soft. I love this consistency. Like any bread, this bread is great with some extra virgin olive oil. I'm using Giulia olive oil made at my family olive mill, which I'm super proud of. If you're interested to know how olive oil is made, check out my video linked at the top. I add some oregano and salt, and I couldn't ask for anything better. I absolutely love this bread. It's so soft in the middle, and then it has this crunchy crust at the top that it's so tasty. Take a look at this other bread. It's made with the same recipe but with a mixture of whole wheat flour and Manitoba flour, and it's amazing. I love the fact that I can make bread with other kinds of flours and the recipe still works perfectly. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you will try to make bread at home, because with this recipe it's super easy. In my family, we love this bread, and I really hope you will try it out and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for new weekly videos every single Thursday. Bye bye!